So the metaverse, I've seen, going back to Ursula again, seeing quite a few companies doing things in that area, developing products and brands within it. And I got to speak to a few people, and I certainly, as recently as a few weeks ago, started to get my head around what that was. But in your mind, how many metaverses are there? Because I thought there was one, but apparently there's not. There's quite a lot. How many are there? How do you find them? And then who owns all these different metaverses?
There's more than one metaverse. The one you might be talking about is the sandbox.
Okay.
Maybe is one that is potentially pretty popular. Just like there's more than one crypto, right? There's multiple cryptocurrencies. So there's really no limit to how many metaverses you could potentially create. There's no limit to how many cryptocurrencies you potentially could want to create. The value within the metaverse or within a cryptocurrency is around the offering that it has. So for instance, on the metaverses, what are the levers that's going to create scarcity? You're buying real estate in the sandbox. What does it mean? Why is it valuable? How are you valuing it? Really no different than, think about real estate in the physical world. You could buy a 10 by 10 plot of land anywhere in America, and the value is going to range from 0 to maybe $500,000 or $1 million. So it really depends on where it is and what the value that's bringing for you. The metaverse is the same way. So you have multiple metaverses. And I think over time, you might have specific metaverses that are created. Maybe one for entertainment, maybe one for fitness, maybe one for fashion. And people are going to invest in technologies to serve that audience better.
Okay, so would it be, so say for example, I'm like, come on Mo, let's develop a metaverse. Would it be similar to if we were a developer and we're like, okay, there's a plot of land just outside of Los Angeles, there's nothing going on. Let's put a cinema and we'll put a gym and we'll put some shopping and everything. Is it the same way? Whereas if you want to create one, you'll kind of build some stuff and you'll hopefully get people to come and build that around an investor. Is that sort of a similar?
That's exactly it. You've got to build the underlying infrastructure, in this case built on top of the blockchain. And what kind of services or piping I'm using, again, the physical sense, so you can have running water, or you can have electricity, or you can have high-speed internet. Those same services and infrastructure is what that metaverse would need.
Okay. So I saw that there was, one of the people I came up with, there's like Snoop World and Playboy have got the Playboy Meta Mansion that they're building. So why would they be outside of a brand play? Like, is there any incentive if they sort of build something? Because apparently the guy next door to Snoop paid $450,000 to have a plot of land next to him. So who is he? Is he paying Snoop because Snoop owns the whole metaverse and that's on his, and then Snoop makes some money from that? How does that work? Do you know?
Yeah, I don't know Snoop World in particular, but what I will say is there is, just like a plot of land in the metaverse, there is a significant amount of investment that goes into, one, creating the infrastructure for that metaverse and creating value. So you might invest money in developing the blockchain that's needed for there and all the associated services, just like you're building an app with an API, right? That's the same in the metaverse. Now, as more and more people want access to it, maybe company A goes in there. In this case, it's Snoop, and the land right next to him becomes more valuable. It makes the entire metaverse more valuable. So value, in that sense, is really no different than physical property. Okay. If you buy a plot of land, the value of that land is going to be dependent upon who's living there, what services they provide, the school system, the restaurants, and things like that. It's very similar in the metaverse.
Now, the only bit that is different, I guess, is why would, so let's say Snoop's got this metaverse and then some people now moving in, neighbors around there. Why would I want to, well, one, I suppose, why would I want to own something there? And then two, like, who's going to come and visit, like, why would you go and, would you just sort of like hang out and see what is going on? Like, how do you kind of bring the real world into one of these metaverses? What's the motivation to, to put on some goggles or whatever and see what's happening?
Well, I think the first distinction is you don't need the Oculus or goggles to go to the metaverse, right? So you could still enter the metaverse through an app on your phone. I think that's the first distinction that needs to be made. But the second one is it's very, very early today. It's almost like when Jeff Bezos opened up the first Amazon e-commerce store to sell books. Who's going to come? There's a lot of other factors that are going to be determined by that, but I think the plan is build something that is compelling, offer value, experiences, shared experiences, a community where you could do things that you might not be able to do in the physical world, in the metaverse, and people will join you there.
Okay. Because I've seen one of the things that they're doing now is actually putting on concerts, which I suppose that seems as though it really fits because, you can be sitting at home and you can have friends joining you and you can have, I can't remember who one of the popular musicians had done one recently and it looked like quite a cool experience. You could be sitting at home and...
I think that's the value. I think the metaverse is an opportunity to make experiences more accessible that you otherwise would not be able to see. It could reach a broader audience. You have a chance to experience something, share it with someone who might be across the world.
Yeah.
That's pretty tough to do. And then to go a step further, own a piece of that experience through an NFT.
Right.
Which is something you cannot do in the physical world.
Yeah, and that was what I was going to come on to next. And just before I sort of finish off on this metaverse thing, for me it was a little bit strange, and I kind of limit my son. So my son's into Oculus, and he's 10, and I put it on. I get impressed, but I'm sort of more of a real life person, and I have to limit the time he spends in there. And he's got friends in there and all kinds of stuff. I don't know what he's got going on in there, but I suppose the shift I seem to not totally appreciate is how a lot of his life and the time is actually spent in front of a screen. My daughter, it's TikTok and things like that. And I suppose even with us adults and even my grandmother, it's Facebook. And I suppose she's accessing it, like you said earlier, she's just accessing it through a phone and iPad. So I suppose in some ways, even though we don't necessarily think we are, we are, we're accessing this. It's probably not a great experience compared to my son's, but we are probably living in another universe a lot more than what we actually appreciate.
I would wholeheartedly agree with that, and I think this next generation coming up is growing up with a different type of community and physical experience than we're used to. And I think the metaverse is building a future for that world, and crypto is a part of it. So for example, you think about how do you spend value in the metaverse? Well, with crypto, right? Crypto is the perfect currency for the new world. It's infinitely divisible. Like I think this idea of I have a cent and then 5 cents and 10 cents and $1 and $5, that concept doesn't exist in the crypto world because you could have something for 1.1, right? So it's infinitely divisible and it makes it easy to spend and exchange value. So a lot of the technologies that are built in the metaverse, built on top of the blockchain, is really built for like your son and their future, where they're growing up in a world where they're interacting, learning, and engaging in a different dimension than what we're used to today.
So with NFTs then, and with, again, coming back to my son, like he's always wanted to buy this stuff for cars and these new colors and these special wheels and all that
in the
sort of
metaverse.
Stuff. Well, yeah, in Oculus and things like that. So what would he be, like at the moment it's coming off my credit card, but and I believe there's a lot of other things that you can buy in there. So if you buy stuff in, at the moment you can buy it in regular currency through your card, but are you saying that there are, if you have like a wallet and some crypto, you would actually sort of start buying some of this in crypto? Is that another way you could
we
trade?
kind of talked about this idea of decentralized finance. If you think about the financial system today, it's a little bit archaic. When you pay with your credit card, even when you're paying with your credit card in the metaverse, it has to go back to American Express, then it goes to a clearinghouse, and then eventually you make a payment, to a bank. It's this whole process. The metaverse is instant. So it doesn't go through all of these clearinghouses. There's no fees, right? There's no underlying infrastructure aside from the blockchain. So yeah, I think in the future, you'll be able to pay for things in the metaverse directly with crypto. Now, when your son buys something like the wheels for his car, if there's only 100 of them that are produced, which you can verify through the blockchain, and if that becomes a scarce and wanted item, the value of that wheel goes up. So he might have paid, 0.1 Ethereum for something today, and then a year from now, it's worth 0.5. Similar to you and I growing up with trading cards, right? Where trading cards, a rookie card of an all-star player goes up in value. This is the modern day equivalent of that.
And I heard one of the most popular things in the metaverse is these, I don't know what the name of it, but these trading sites where you buy like some shoes or whatever, and you trade it with other people. Have you?
Like OpenSea.
That was it. Yeah,
Yeah.
OpenSea. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that.
What
I
is
mean,
that? What,
I mean, essentially that is a trading platform for NFTs and digital assets that are backed by the blockchain. So you might have a piece of art, you might have an experience, you might have something of value, and you could trade it if you need something else, right? So it is it's a marketplace for trading NFTs.